Today I want to talk about impossible goals. What are they, and what are the basic steps to achieving them? And if you're interested in the subject, I'll be producing more videos that go into more details next. An impossible goal is something that you yourself don't believe you can achieve. But there's a lot of things that you might believe that you can't achieve. Like you might say, well, I'm going to practice jumping and then I'm going to jump from Earth to the moon. And I'm not saying it's not possible, but do you really care enough to even do that? Is that something you have a desire to do? So let's look at the intersection between things that you would love to do or love to see happen in the world, but that you don't think that you can cause, that you don't think that you can achieve. And this is really where we get to the root of the complaining mindset. Because if you, again, look out in the world, what you see is maybe 1 in 1,000 people doing something and bringing people on board with what their goals are. And then you have a lot of people complaining. And if you look at your own life, a lot of times what our lives are really about is a kind of a complaining attitude. And the complaining attitude is a kind of a protective measure that keeps us from looking and actually achieving the things that we desire. And then goals are a funny thing. I'm going to say I've struggled with goals because when you set a goal, what happens is you don't have it. So it brings up a feeling of lack. And that feeling of lack and the complaining and the resisting, that's really what a lot of this is about. But let's say you can get past that and you just say, it wouldn't be great if X, wouldn't it be great if I could open my own restaurant? Or wouldn't it be great if we could change some law? Or wouldn't it be great, X, Y, Z, whatever goal. And then the goal itself, you could maybe visualize that, but then you can see that you don't know where to start and that there's too many things like, okay, I'd like to start a restaurant, but I don't have enough money and I don't know how to raise money. And, and so what'll happen is if you really want to do this right, and I'll be describing this more in future videos, but you simply start making a list of all the things that it would take to achieve that goal. And now when you look at that list, what you'll find out and what you'll see is that most of the things on the list are also impossible. You don't know how to do it, or you have no idea how it'll happen. That's fine. This is the beautiful part of the process. And what I learned is that you just get started. You find something on the list that you can do, and you do that. And the odd thing is that the more that you do and you go back to that list and you begin seeing new ways to achieve the things that you thought were impossible before. So an impossible goal is something that you can visualize, you could imagine how great it would be, but the steps are unclear or the steps look impossible. And this is the real joy of getting to work. Now, I've had some great experiences achieving impossible goals. In 1990, I went to Washington, D.C. I wanted to stop the timber industry from cutting down the old-growth forests on our public lands. And they had been doing this illegally for years. And I didn't know anything about politics. I thought it was a mistake. I didn't realize that this was being done on purpose in a very calculated way. But step by step, I found other people who shared that goal. And we envisioned what it would be like if we could just, by stroke of a pen, have the policy we wanted. We created that policy ourselves. We found members of Congress in the House and Senate who would carry that policy forward in legislation, and we just kept going and kept going. And believe it or not, by the end of that decade, the logging volume on the national forest had fallen by 80%. And largely, it wasn't just us. There were a lot of people working on this problem together, but we played a very key role. And I had the privilege of leading a campaign that reversed a policy that President Clinton had signed in only the year before. And that policy reversal allowed the rest of the forest protection movement to achieve the goal of reducing this illegal logging on the national forests. So it's been an interesting challenge because I didn't have any training on how to do impossible goals. I just said, I'm just going to do it. And my dad used to say, follow your dreams. And it's a really good sentiment, but he didn't have a methodology. So you could say a lot of what I'm doing here is over my lifetime, I have followed my dreams. And this is one of many methodologies that I'll be explaining here on YouTube and in courses and things like that about how to actually achieve your dreams as opposed to just dream about them. So having had that kind of success in the 90s, it's almost been kind of like a millstone because, well, that was good, that was a great result. And then I wanted to do more, so I took on even bigger, more impossible projects. And it's been a mixed bag, but in trying and doing that, I've learned even a lot more. So now I'm working on a really difficult project, which is I have some health issues, and they've been really challenging. But the thing is, I started seeing, well, the doctors don't know how to cure what I have. It's a problem with my feet. It does affect me. It affects my ability to just play and hike as much as I want and do everything I want. And I had a couple of years of blood tests and trying to do all that stuff, and I went vegan in 2016, and that helped. It relieved years and years, over a decade of really intense acid reflux. So I thought, oh, I'm really healing, but if I'm healing, why is this part getting worse? No one knew the answer. So about a year and a half ago, I said, well, nobody really knows how. I don't know how. But I began to notice, I thought, let me just heal something. Let me just get started. Because it's really easy when you're faced with an impossible goal just to not start. Just like, I'm not even going to do anything. So bit by bit, the condition of my digestion has gotten better and better and better. And then I noticed that I had, I'd had 5 years of back pain. And I started seeing a guy, and then I discovered some exercises I could do myself, and those things really did the trick. And suddenly I had healed, and it wasn't really realistically 5 years. It had been maybe a couple decades of on and off, serious back pain where I could, I'd have to catch myself on the counter and things like that. And so step by step, I thought, well, okay, if I don't know how to heal this one thing, I'm just going to try to heal something. And then each of those little successes has added. And so you can see right now, as much as I'm frustrated by, how my body is working, it's not working perfectly, but I've made so many improvements, and I like that. I like just one day you're going to see a video from me saying it's done, the goal's been attained. But in the meanwhile, there's a path that you can follow, and each step along the path, each little victory, each little success is very gratifying and reassuring that you're on the right track. And then suddenly something new unfolds. It's like, oh, let me work on that. So that's the basics of what is an impossible goal and how to achieve it. This video alone could give you everything you need, but if you want more information on how to do this, I'll be posting more information, more videos. You can go to our website. There's an online course just on how to achieve impossible goals. So thanks for listening, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.